Hello, everybody. This is AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio. You're listening to Clutch with Keon Rose. Thank you so much for joining me today, giving me just a little piece of your time. You know that I appreciate you. And we've got a lot to talk about today because it's tournament week. It's tournament week. And we've got Eastern Tennessee in the tournament, MTSU in the tournament, and, of course, our very own UTC Mocs in the tournament with an opportunity to win, maybe. Also, I feel very good about myself. I said that they were going to be a 14 or a 13 seed. They're a 14 seed. So not only do I get to give myself a little bit of that pat on the back for being right, but there is actual historical precedent for pushing the Mocs down your bracket. There is, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But first, let's talk about the platforms where we can reach you and you can reach us and all of the above. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. If you search Hot News Talk Radio, we are the first thing that comes up. We always reply, and we'd love to hear from you. Also, you can find us on hotnewstalkradio.com. We stream 24/7. You can also catch all of our classic episodes, we never call them old, on the YouTube page. So not only do you get to chat down below during the live streams of our shows, but you can go back and watch older episodes as well. You can also check us out on the TuneIn Radio app. It's absolutely free for your mobile device. Absolutely free. Get it on iPhone, get it on Android. It doesn't matter. Get it in the Apple Store, the Google Play Store. Just give us a follow on the app, press play, and you'll have Hot News Talk Radio everywhere you go. So, pleasantries aside, right? Pleasantries entirely aside, I have to tell you, I've been waiting my entire life to do this show. I've been doing this show for a year now, almost half a year now, okay? I started working here in the fall, and so I didn't get to do this last March, but March Madness is my favorite time of year. Okay, this is the month that my birthday is in. I consider March Madness to be the universe's gift to me, and this is better than Christmas to me. Okay, you just have a lot of basketball, buzzer beaters, upsets, craziness. There's an actual way to control the wild, aimless speculation that usually plague the world of sports. It's called the bracket, and you fill it out. And then you don't have to tell everybody about your Super Bowl pick. You put it on paper already. We're going to be doing a Hot News Talk Radio bracket challenge. Okay, I'm going to work in CBS, get us a nice bracket challenge. I'll put it up on the Facebook page like a bunch of times a day because I want as many people in on this challenge as humanly possible. It's going to be hilarious and interesting to see how many of us get beaten by Mr. Tulis, a man who could not care more about sports if he tried. He couldn't care, like, if it were possible. I don't even think it's possible. And I'm going to try and convince Mr. Tulis to fill out a bracket. Okay? Russell also does not care. I'm interested. I'm interested in seeing how this goes down. All right? And we'll all be participating here at Hot News Talk Radio, and we'd love for you to join us. So here's the thing about the NCAA tournament, because I'm looking down at it's first off, it's prime situation for people to just more or less BS their analysis. I know who I've watched this season. I know who I haven't watched. All right? And so I can only tell you that I have a basic guide for filling out brackets because I don't follow everybody closely all the time. It would be hard to. There's a million teams. And people are going to get on the radio and go, well, your sleeper should be, I don't know, Iowa or something. Like, I don't think that your sleeper should be Iowa. All right, you don't pick Providence to go deep. Not because there's anything wrong with Providence, but because it's very unlikely. All right, and there are purists. There are purists out there who think that you fill out your one bracket and you suffer with your one bracket, as though filling out multiple brackets decreases the suffering. Filling out multiple brackets, if anything, increases the suffering because you'll pick one team right on one bracket, another team right on another bracket, and you'll just be horrifyingly wrong in the end on both. So we're going to have a very special edition of Jay Asks on Wednesday for tournament week. because we're going to break down how the tournament works, and she's going to fill out a bracket. So we've got so many things this week, and I can't wait. Okay, but before, let me tell you how today's show is going to go, because I have two topics. Okay, one is, how do you get out of work to watch the NCAA tournament? I am a master of this. I have perfected this. I have had several jobs, and there is not one single job that I have ever had, and I mean ever had, that has stopped me from watching at least day one and day two of the tournament. You have to catch the first round. That's the best part. Okay, the championship game is very fun, but all the carnage and wreckage of the round of 64, that's the best part. Okay, you have to catch that part. And the problem with this is that the NCAA tournament, unfortunately, starts on Thursday and Friday when most people are at work. Now, CBS, TNT, TBS, they've done their best. They've done their absolute best to make sure that you've got ways that you can stream it at work. For years and years, they've had a boss button. I don't know who that's actually worked for, where you click on it and then it just shows like a pie chart and it looks like you're working, but you're really not. I don't know whose boss that has actually ever deceived. But regardless, they're trying. They're trying to look out for you. I'm looking out for you too. Don't go to work. But you can't just skip work. There's no elegance in just skipping work. You've got to play it up a little bit, okay? If you're starting now to try and figure out how you're going to miss work on Thursday and Friday to watch the NCAA tournament, you're a step behind, okay? Monday is the setup day. But it's okay, because you're just going to have to condense this plan, okay? You're just going to have to condense it down to the Tuesday situation. You start by letting everybody in the office know, gosh, I might be coming down with something. You just say it, unsolicited, right? Nobody's asked you for your opinion. Nobody asked you if you were feeling well. If people ask you how you're doing, you tell them there too. Oh yeah, no, I'm doing fine. I just think I'm coming down with something. Okay, look, it's a science. This you don't just call in sick on the day of work. It's very suspicious. It's very, very suspicious. You can't do it that way. You've got to set this thing up. Okay, you've got to think 12 steps ahead. Be a chess master here. Be Peyton Manning. You've got to be ahead of the defense. I'm coming down with something. Let everyone in the office know. Okay, you walk past Phil in accounting. You just say out loud, "Oh man, my throat." Just let everyone in the office know you aren't feeling well. That's step one, the announcement. Step two is the cough, which you've got multiple steps to the cough, okay? You can't just start coughing. You just there's no elegance to that, all right? And it's not believable. People don't just start coughing and end up sick. Your throat is a little bit sore. Okay, start doing things that you would normally do if your throat were sore. Have some tea, have some water and lemon. Start having lozenges, Halls around. Have these things around because it makes it more believable that you're actually sick. Okay, you have to do this. Also, and I'm not condoning anything, but if you are a child you got to trick your parents, got to run this past your parents, and they're not already in the car with you. If you can work it, I mean, watch Ferris Bueller's Day Off. That is a masterclass there in the how to let my parents know that I'm sick situation. Should work. That is a masterclass. Ferris Bueller did that better than anybody's ever done it in movies. So you set this up by having the things around you that you would treat a cough with, like you're treating a cough. Take Halls, okay? Clear your throat. Clear your throat often. This is tomorrow. You're going to have to condense it because you should have started today. You're late. You should have started today. So go back over step one of the plan. Step one, the announcement. This is before noon. You get into work at 9. You start telling everybody something's up with your throat from 9 to noon. Just do it. Okay? Then noon and on, you're clearing your throat. You're having a lot of Halls, you're having hot water and lemon, and you're continuing to broadcast to planet Earth that something just doesn't feel right. And boy, you're just not sick usually this time of year. I'm telling you, this has worked. I've done this for 5 jobs now. Okay. Like this is real. This is real. It's effective. It's effective. So after you've got everything around you that says I'm sick, then you start the real cough. This is the end of Tuesday, right? Like an hour before it's time to get out from work. You've got to leave a lasting impression. Don't cough up a lung. You got to be believable here, but leave a lasting impression so that people go, oh man, he really is sick. Wow. He's really ill. I'm just saying, okay? You've got to leave a lasting impression. This is a performance, okay? This you ever wanted the opportunity to be in Hollywood? You ever wanted to be Leonardo DiCaprio for a day? This is it. This is your performance. You've got to come in the clutch here. If you don't, guess where you're going to be on Thursday while all 32 of the first day teams play? You're going to be at work, not watching the game. That's where you're going to be. This is AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio, Clutch with Keon Rose. I'm telling you how to get out of work on Thursday so you can watch some of these games. All right? I've been planning this my whole life, man. I'm telling you, this is better than Christmas, except they don't make you work on Christmas. If they didn't make you work on Christmas, you wouldn't have to get out. Okay, you all would not miss Christmas dinner and Christmas Day basketball and all of the things that come with a happy Christmas meal. You've got to work this, okay? So now we're coming to Wednesday morning. Wednesday is key. It's key. It's the day before the tournament. If people don't believe you on Wednesday, you are going to be at work on Thursday. You just will. You have no choice, okay? So Wednesday, you show up with all of the things that you have collected on Tuesday. Your hauls, your hot water, your lemon, okay? Your Kleenex. Have all of that stuff with you. And now it's time to add a little body language. Okay? Now you're not just coughing. Someone is talking to you. Respond a little more slowly than usual. Be a little bit more nasal when you talk. I don't feel real great right now. I'm trying. Slow down at work. Okay? Slow down at work, which people who already work slow, just keep doing what you're doing. You don't want to get fired now. Like, you're walking a line here. It's a fine line. It is a tightrope. You don't want to be fired. That's not the plan. You're just trying to miss work Thursday and Friday because they have day 3 and day 4, Saturday and Sunday. So you really don't have to worry about that. You just need to get out of work Thursday and Friday. So don't get fired, okay? If you work slow, don't work any slower than you do. But if you are a fast worker usually, slow it down. Slow it down just a little bit. Your actual production is going to be the sign of whether or not you are physically too ill to show up for work on Thursday conveniently. How inconvenient. Boy, I guess it's a tragedy. I just got to stay home and watch basketball till I feel better. Okay? But you don't want to be too sick. Again, it's the tightrope. If you're too sick too early, okay, then you're sick Wednesday, sick Thursday, you should be recovering on Friday, and then you'll be in work on Friday. The point is to be sick enough, late enough, that you're not missing Thursday and Friday. So your body language, you droop, you hunch over, you don't respond very quickly, and then you slow down at work. Your last thing that you need to do is, again, leaving a strong impression as you leave work on Wednesday is key. You coughed yesterday, okay? So you just need to be miserable by the time you get out of work. Just people need to look at you and go, poor guy. Poor guy. And here's the thing, because you're already late. Monday already happened and you haven't enacted the plan. So this is a problem. This is a very, very huge problem. If somebody else has started to get sick before you, don't compete with them. Use them. Listen now, come on. Use them. If they started getting sick before you, one of two things is the case. Either they're trying not to be at work on Thursday, or they're actually sick. If they're actually sick, use whatever symptoms they have. It's contagious, and now you've got it. If they're trying to miss work on Thursday, don't compete with them. Don't try and go harder than them. Don't try and be more sick to earn this. That's suspicious. Be just as sick as they are. Look, we just have this office bug that's going around. Sorry, can't come into work on Thursday. And then, of course, Thursday rolls around. This part isn't key, but if you mess it up, you're going into work, okay? Which is when you call your boss on Thursday morning, don't forget to actually sound sick, okay? This has tripped up many a person who just hasn't done this correctly. This is the part, especially if you're a kid. I'm not condoning it. It's a possibility that could happen. Your parents are coming in the room. Do not be hyper and well because it looks like I've convinced them that I had the day off from school. You're still sick, okay? Be the sickness. Be the sickness. You are still ill. You gotta sound like you've got a cold, okay? Because all of the things that you've been doing all week are the symptoms of a cold. You hold your nose when you talk on the phone. This is, I'm not kidding. Hold your nose. You sound sick, and then just kind of lower your voice a little bit. Hello, Mr. Sanders. I don't think I'm going to make it today. I don't feel well. I have a serious cold, and I threw up a bunch of times last night, and I don't think I should come in. It's going to get all over Phyllis's desk. I'm sorry. And then go back to bed and watch basketball. You can get the CBS Sports app on your iPad, on your tablet, on your phone. You just stream basketball, stream it online, do it whatever. I have just instructed you. I've given you everything you need to know. How do you get out of work to miss the tournament? It requires a lot of setup. This is a chess match. You can't call in Thursday morning and not show up. If that's the kind of job you have, then by all means, knock yourself out. Like, don't play sick if you don't have to play sick. But I'm just saying jobs that I've worked at, you have to have a good reason, because then your manager starts to pressure you to come in and just, hey, why can't you come in right now? And you're just like, I didn't feel like it, is really not the thing that they want to hear. And again, the goal here is not to get you fired. I don't want you watching basketball on your couch forever, just Thursday and Friday. Just Thursday and Friday. This is AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio, Clutch with Keon Rose. That's how you walk the fine line to NCAA basketball and March Madness on Thursday, because that is the madness. Thursday, Friday, that's the madness, folks. That's when it happens. So you can't be missing Thursday and Friday. That's when the magic happens. So that's where I'm trying to get you out of here. Now, I do have some friendly pointers as to how to fill in your bracket. Okay, a friend of mine actually texted me yesterday. She is not a basketball fan. She doesn't watch any college basketball whatsoever, but she entered the office pool to try and see if she could win some money there, and she wanted some tips on how to fill out her bracket. I'm not going to offer any information, okay? I'm not going to tell you how to fill out your bracket because experts don't get this right. You sit down, and all the people who do the bracketology, they go down and they're just like, well, I watched all the mid-major schools. I was watching tape on them last week. Like, even they don't get any of this stuff right, okay? Unless you go straight chalk and 1 year it happens. Because it's more likely, honestly, that'll happen than not. But I never go straight chalk. Something feels wrong about that. It almost never happens. Like, you don't end up with 4 1s in the Final Four too often. It doesn't feel like, anyway. So I've got some pointers for everybody on how to fill out your bracket. There are just some rules you've got to play by if you want to do this in a way that's fun, but also like actually with a chance to win. I'm just saying. You're listening to AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio, Clutch with Keon Rose. That's me. Thank you so much for joining me and giving me just a little piece of your day. We're going to be talking about more bracket stuff. Clutch with Keon Rose. Next.
I'm blowing everything up. We're starting over. I'm doing a new show. I want guys who push it to the middle of the table and go over the top. Take a risk, fail miserably. I'm right, and I'm not wrong, and I'll never back down. Conflict works. Allow it.
It's The Herd with Colin Cowherd. Right here and everywhere. Noon Eastern.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds. We'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
I'm going to Carter Shooting Supply.
Carter Shooting Supply.
That's right, Carter Shooting Supply. They're having a great sale on all of their guns right now, and it's name brands like Smith & Wesson, Ruger, Springfield, their AR-15s. They've got the hottest gun in the land right now, the Sky 9mm. Man, it comes in all the cool colors. If you're an Alabama fan, they've got crimson. If you're a big orange fan, they've got an orange one. You know, all the women are loving the pink one and Tiffany blue. Plus, it has a lifetime warranty replacement. If the gun is stolen, all you need is your police report or receipt, and they'll replace it free. It has a 60-day full money-back guarantee. That's Carter Shooting Supply. They're in Harrison right there at 6210 Highway 58.
Are they online?
Yes, they are. That's cartershootingsupply.com, or give them a call, 423-344-1099. Now, this sale's not going to last too long, so you need to hurry up and get there. And they do have a great indoor shooting facility. You can get your Tennessee handgun carry permit also. That's Carter Shooting Supply, 423-344-1099. You need a place for your party or maybe a wedding reception for 100 or even more. Maybe you'd like to host a small trade show for your business, and you need a very affordable venue. Are you looking for a place for your birthday gala or services to start up a church? Look no further than the Hidden Gem in Hickson. It's an overlooked, newly appointed reception hall right here in Hickson, Tennessee. Big space, small price. That's right, big space, small price. Call Mr. Chu and ask for a tour. 316-7388. That's 423-316-7388. He'll tell you a lot more about the venue. Rent this venue today. Just call 423-316-7388 and ask for Mr. Chu.
Expect fair to partly cloudy skies to continue through the nighttime. Milder overnight lows into the lower 50s. For the midweek, more warm spring-like weather ahead through Thursday. Becoming breezy but dry, highs into the mid-70s with some showers rolling in later Friday. The Fresh Oil New Wine Conference at Abba's House continues through Thursday. Pastor Ron Phillips welcomes Perry Stone, Tommy Bates, Randy Caldwell, and others for this week of encouragement and renewal. For more, FONW.com. And I'm Source 12 Chief Meteorologist Patrick Core.
On AM 1240, Hot News Talk Radio.
When the weather turns bad, turn to AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio. On the net, hotnewstalkradio.com. Follow us on Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. From the Hot News Talk Radio Weather Center. Chattanooga, we've got you covered. When the weather turns bad, the Tennessee Valley turns to Hot News Talk Radio.
Go, 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 go.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds. We'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240. AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio with your Hot News Now update. A man was shot in the head on Cowherd Street early Sunday morning. Police say that Reuben L. Simpson was injured, but his injuries are not life-threatening. The CPD responded at 3:20 a.m. after getting reports of the gunshot and located the victim. He was unresponsive when they arrived. The EMS responded as well and took him to a local hospital. Officers secured the area and talked to different witnesses, some of whom worked for the Bella Vita restaurant, and they attempted to identify one suspect. The police questioned him and determined that the suspect the Bella Vita people had identified was not actually involved. There's no further word on the victim's condition. Well, the T-On-Ready tests begin on Monday, but hundreds of Hamilton County students are planning to opt out of the test. 212 or 41% of normal parts students have opted out of the test following the crashing of the digital system, which was originally planned for the taking of the test. An emergency paper system was put in place just in time for test taking. If it's going on in the Tennessee Valley, it's going on Hot News Talk Radio.
Hot News Talk 1240.
So we've been talking about the brackets, okay? First off, in order to properly enjoy your bracket, because you don't want to try and enjoy your bracket through a series of box scores, okay? You don't want to be looking up scores on your phone, looking them up at work on ESPN.com, CBSSports.com, and then, you just have this weird thing where you're just like, oh, I was wrong about that, and I was right about that, and I was wrong about that, without any of the tension, without any of the real drama about watching these games. So that's why I recommend, my process to getting out of work to watch the games Thursday, Friday. I'm condoning nothing. I'm saying this is a technique that has worked for me in the past. Okay, at my place of employment, they put the game up on the screen. I don't actually have to miss work anymore, so that's fine. I'm just saying, okay, if you felt so inclined, there is a method for you to do that. There is a way for you to go about setting up a situation. It's like a heist movie, okay? It's Ocean's 11, except you are Brad Pitt and company and George Clooney and company, and your boss is whatever the bad guy's name is in that movie. And instead of breaking into his vault and stealing his money, you're breaking into your house and watching some basketball. Like, it's perfectly legal, if not morally dubious. Okay, I'm not suggesting you to do something that you didn't want to do already. All right, and I'm not condoning this in particular for children, but I'm saying if your parents aren't listening, try it. Watch Ferris Bueller's Day Off, do what Ferris did, and then watch some basketball on Thursday. So now that we've got you home to watch the games, let's actually look at the bracket itself, because there's rules to this thing, man. There's rules to how you fill out your bracket. Sure, you could just go down the bracket willy-nilly, go straight chalk, no upsets, pick the best players, or listen to the experts talk about it as they sway your opinion left and right. You're overanalyzing everything. You're overthinking everything. Because that's the killer in most brackets, the overthinking. I fill out my bracket today, and I'll be good with the bracket for today, tomorrow, Wednesday. And then Thursday morning rolls around, and I'm looking down at my bracket, and I'm going, do I really have UTC beating Indiana? Do I really have UTC beating Indiana? Do I think Stephen F. Austin can upset West Virginia? I don't know. Do I really have that? So there's rules to this thing. Some rules are more obvious than other rules, okay? I'm not going to try and change your world. There are people who fill out brackets who have never done it before. If you filled them out before, if you've watched a lot of college basketball, then yeah, it's obvious to you. But everybody else hasn't done that. Give people the benefit of the doubt, and let's say, the trendy pick right now is Yale. That's right, Ivy League in the house. Yale over Baylor. Say that's something you wanted to do. Take a step back and breathe for a second, and let's just go down the rules of how to fill out an NCAA tournament bracket, okay? Starting with some obvious ones as we start to get deeper into this thing. Rule number 1, always pick your 1 seeds first, okay? It's the easiest pick you're going to have to make for the entire bracket. No 16 seed has ever beaten a 1. And maybe one day it'll happen, And then from that point on, you're just on notice, like this is a possibility that could occur. But let's be honest now. No 16 seed has ever beaten a 1. It's not going to happen this year. It's not going to happen next year. Go ahead and chalk up North Carolina for beating Florida Gulf Coast, Kansas for beating Austin Peay, Oregon for beating Holy Cross, and Virginia for beating Hampton, because that's how that's going to roll out. There you go. Done. Easy. Step 2, choose your upsets carefully. In every tournament, there are upsets. It happens. In fact, this is just not just this tournament. It's just games in general. There are upsets. People who shouldn't win. It's a very small sample size. This isn't the NBA playoffs. They're not a 7-game series. You lose once and you are gone. So you know that there's going to be some schools that are more prepared, that maybe got ranked lower than they should have been ranked, that just maybe the shots were falling for them that day. They just got hotter than thunder and lightning, all right? And they're just ready to go because thunder's very hot. It's a scientific fact. So you know there's going to be some upsets, but there's some upsets that happen very frequently, and nobody knows why. 12s beat 5s very often for no adequately explained reason at all. So you're going to have to pick a few of those. You're just going to have to look at the 12s and the 5s and just kind of, through whatever means you feel necessary, divine what's going to happen there. Okay, this is the first round I'm talking about. Look at some 12s and 5s. Look at some 7s and 10s. 7s and 10s are basically pick'ems. You see a 7 playing a 10, that's you could flip a coin on most of those. Iowa playing Temple, I haven't the foggiest idea. I would probably go with Iowa because I've seen them score and they can score very well. But I might not choose Iowa because they don't defend a soul. I have no idea how that's going to play out yet, and I haven't watched a second of Temple basketball. Like not one animated second, not one. So we're not. But you might have to pick that, okay? And you're going to have to figure out which lower seeds are going to upset higher ones, okay? 14s and 3s. It happens often enough that you might have to think about picking one, right? The deeper you go into the tournament, what you want to have ultimately is things to balance back out to where you start relying on those higher seeds again. So you've got to choose some upsets. Rule number 4 is just a personal rule of mine. You don't have to follow this rule, but I find that it has done well for me when I have followed it, and it has not done well for me when I have not followed it. Never pick Kansas to win your tournament. Never pick them to win your tournament. They're poison. They're poison. Now, part of it is I actually just don't like the Kansas Jayhawks. Like as a rule of thumb, they're a rival school to the school I root for, Texas. But I remember one year I watched Kansas. The year was 2005. And this tells you about me and how long I can hold a grudge, because I've never forgiven Kansas for this. The year was 2005. And I filled out my bracket. That Kansas team in 05 with Josh Selby and those guys, they looked good. I looked at that team and thought, this team could win it all. All right? I think they were ranked 2nd or 3rd. Kansas went ahead and lost in the first round of that tournament. Day 1, my bracket was snapped in half. I've never had that happen before or since. And I learned 2 things that day. One, I can never pick Kansas to win a tournament again. Like, even if they win, I'm still better off thinking that they won't than they will. Kansas has gone on to statistically prove my point. Kansas is eliminated early more often than they get to the round of 8. Okay? They're eliminated in the earlier rounds more often than they get to the Elite 8. And for a school that plays basketball as well as they do, that recruits the talent that they do, that has a coach like Bill Self, who's as good as he is, that's dangerous. Never pick Kansas. I wouldn't do it personally. If you're going to pick them this year, good for you, but I would pick literally anyone to win this tournament that was not Kansas. You think I'm kidding? Kansas. I'm going to have Kansas beating Austin Peay, but I'm not going to have them making it to the Final Four. Somehow, I'll find a way to get Kansas out, and I'll be right. That's the thing there. I'll be correct. So that rule, never pick Kansas. The second thing, by the way, that I learned that day is that I'm really good at holding grudges, because the school that beat Kansas, and I did not look this up because I still remember, I don't need to look it up, was the Bucknell Bison. The Bucknell Bison ruined my bracket that year, along with Kansas. Bucknell shouldn't have won, Kansas shouldn't have lost, and now I hate them both. That's where we stand on that. If the Bucknell Bison ever make the tournament again, anger, okay? I feel like, go to youtube.com, search Hot News Talk Radio, click on the live link for Clutch with Keon Rose right now. If you want to see what anger looks like, I hate the Kansas Jayhawks and the Bucknell Bison because they ruined my 2005. They just ruined it. So that's my fourth rule, is never pick Kansas. My sixth rule here, or my fifth rule rather, is Ivy League schools. Respect them. Respect them. You see Yale playing Baylor. Now, I'm going to pick Baylor over Yale because I think Baylor's a really, really good basketball team. They're enormous and they're fast, but they're inconsistent, and Yale is really good. Yale is really, really good. These Ivy League schools that make it into the tournament, the Harvard team that nobody believed in, that had Jeremy Lin and won their first round, these Ivy League schools are good at basketball. They're very good at basketball, okay? Don't disrespect an Ivy League school just because you see them on the paper. Really think about that game. There's some games you can just pencil in as losses. For instance, I will pencil in Kansas losing as early as humanly possible and disappointing me. There are other things that you can pencil in, like Kentucky's going to try and make a deep run. Sure. Has this been a really great year for Kentucky? No, they've underachieved by a very large margin. However, that school still coached by Coach Calipari, he's a very good coach, and they still have great athletes. Like, they recruited well. The team's not gelling, team's not meshing, but they play very well. And I'm gonna rely on Kansas to they're not a 13 that's gonna be, they're not a 4 that's gonna be upset by number 13 Stony Brook. It's not gonna happen. All right. So we've got that. You gotta respect the Ivy League. They're really good at basketball, and I feel like I'm pleading their case. Like, guys, you have to believe me, but believe me, because they're really good. And then here's a rule that I have. Again, it's a personal rule. Don't do too much research. You can do too much research for the NCAA tournament. You can. You can do way too much research. You can know the bios of every team, and you can know the bios of every player on every team. And what you will do when you fill out your bracket is overthink everything. Overthink everything. If you're looking at Maryland versus South Dakota, you might look at Maryland and go, okay, they've got Melo Trimble. He's a very good basketball player. This should be a no-brainer. I should pick Maryland. But then you look up South Dakota, and you find that South Dakota plays at a slower pace and that they score more points per minute at their pace. And boy, that might be able to slow down Maryland enough to get the upset. But then you look at Maryland and they shoot threes very well, just a high volume of threes. So maybe the range of Maryland opens. Don't do too much research. I'm sorry. You're going to ruin the time that you spend filling out the bracket. And when the tournament starts and your bracket gets busted, you will not be having any fun. Like, no fun whatsoever. You don't want your bracket done in the first few days. You will overthink everything. Do you understand? You will overthink everything. You can't do that. Don't do too much research. Next rule, but do some research though. I understand that nobody wants to lose to Phyllis in accounting. She's never watched any of these games before, and she just chooses based on the mascots. She just chooses. She takes a look down and she sees Iowa, they're the Hawkeyes, and Temple, they're the Owls, and she goes, "What's a Hawkeye?" and picks the Owls, and she's right. And then they advance. Villanova advances. The Wildcats versus the Owls, and then she goes, "Well, a Wildcat would beat an Owl if they fought." And then Villanova advances, and the next thing you know, they run into Vanderbilt, and Vanderbilt is a Commodore, and she just likes the way that word looks on paper, and that their jerseys are gold, and that looks cool. And so now she's got Vanderbilt moving on. And then somehow she winds up with Vanderbilt versus Seton Hall in the final game, and she's right somehow. Like, there's no logical rhyme or reason to it, but most of us aren't Phyllis in accounting with her magic. Most of us need to do some research. Like, look some of these teams up. Like, this team's not ranked very high, but you know what? They have the best player in the country. And you might want to choose that team. Oh, this guy is the John Wooden Award nominee. You might want to pick those guys, like just a little bit. And those are my rules for filling out an NCAA bracket. Okay, just some tips. Let's go back over the tips. Always pick your 1 seeds first, because it's obvious. Okay, make them go as far as you want them to go, but they beat 16s. It's never happened. It's never not going to happen. Choose your upsets carefully, please. Don't just fill everything can't be an upset. Okay, don't fill out 16s beating 1s, 9s beating 8s, 11s beat. Like, everything is not an upset. Okay, it's not. Calm down. Pick them carefully. But make sure to choose some, and not just some upsets, some ridiculous upsets, because 14s do beat 3s. Okay, 12s do beat 5s, and often enough that you've got to pick them. Never pick Kansas, because they're poison. Everything that they touch turns to poison, and if you allow them to handle your bracket will also be poison. It will die a sad, slow, painful, Kansas-riddled death. Jayhawks fans know what I'm talking about. You guys know. You guys know exactly what I'm talking about. So then the next rule, don't do too much research. You confuse yourself, double blinds. You start overthinking things. If you play chess the way that some people fill out brackets, you'd never win, and you'd just be miserable all the time. Okay? And you will find 2 ways to be miserable. The bracket process will be miserable for you, and then the games will be miserable for you when you talk yourself out of USC beating Providence. Don't do that. Okay? Don't do that. It's a bad idea. It's a bad look. But then make sure to do some research. Is the final rule. Do a little bit. Just to know who is playing on what team, and where even are they from? What do they look like? You might make a decision based on that. All right, I'm not giving you the expert's point of view, because you might be playing a bracket challenge with your family and your friends, and some of them don't watch college basketball obsessively all year long. I watch college basketball obsessively, and there's still teams on here. Like, I don't sit down and watch Providence, okay? I do not care about the Conference USA. Nobody does until we're here. So I don't watch Providence until we're here. I don't know anything about Providence. I don't care. I don't care enough. I'd like to see a matchup between Providence and UTC on that side of the bracket. I think it'd be hilarious. It's not going to happen, but it would be totally awesome. But do a little bit of research. You're listening to AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio, Clutch with Keon Rose. Those are my tips for filling out an NCAA bracket. It's more fun that way when you never pick Kansas. So, moving on a little bit, because I want to talk about Ben Simmons and LSU and how that school, that team, embarrassed itself on a level that I have not seen. There's no, in my opinion, because I haven't looked through the history books necessarily, but certainly not in recent memory, there isn't a precedent for a guy on a team like LSU as good as Ben Simmons is. And I've raved and ranted about Ben Simmons all season long, because I think he is easily one of the top 3 players in college basketball this season. Ben Simmons is amazing, but that team is terrible. And I have mused about this before. I'm not going to come out and say anything because that's slander. I'm not saying Ben Simmons got paid to go to LSU. I'm saying I wouldn't be shocked if money exchanged hands. Good enough there? Because, like, Ben Simmons, that school is so bad. He would have looked so much better on pick any other school. For goodness sakes, I'm talking about Providence in the tournament. What if Ben Simmons went to Providence? No one would have expected it, but Providence would be a beast of a team right now. I'm just saying that. Ben Simmons went to LSU? They've underachieved at basketball for so long. I know he didn't actually think he could win in there. Right? I hope not. Ben Simmons is like Magic Johnson. He's big. He's got point guard skills. He's got solid handles. He doesn't have a great jumper. Like, he's really got to learn how to shoot at the next level, but he's such a talented player and such a gifted athlete and such gift, and like his gifts with his vision and the way that he sees the floor. I mean, it's impossible to look at that guy and go, he's not going to be fantastic in the NBA. And we're not going to see a guy of that caliber in the NCAA tournament. And I would have watched the NIT to see Ben Simmons. And LSU has declined to play in the NIT. So Ben Simmons' college career is over, most likely. He's going to more than likely enter the NBA draft, because why wouldn't you? And I'm looking at this, and I just don't believe this, to the point where I can't separate how bad LSU is from how good Ben Simmons is. Because he still played pretty decently well in that game. He didn't shoot the ball very well and was part of their problems. But at the same time, another triple-double for Ben Simmons. And I'm looking at this guy and this team, and I'm like, I understand you wanted to play for your godfather. He, LSU alum, all of those things. But man, you didn't do yourself a good service at all. Your team's not in the postseason, and winning counts on a resume. How many times have we have talked about Peyton Manning like we forgot he was awful in the Super Bowl? He was bad. He was really, really bad in that Super Bowl. And already we've just kind of washed our hands of the 2 rings. Why? Because winning makes things look better. And Ben Simmons has a lot of weaknesses and holes in his game that he can't cover up, and the winning would have covered it up. Winning covers up a lot of things. You look back in the draft when UConn won the NCAA tournament, they went on that run. They win the Big East. Then after winning the Big East, they go on that incredible run in the tournament, win the title, and Kemba Walker is just shooting up draft boards, like just skyrocketing to the top. Why? Was it because Kemba Walker didn't have flaws in his game? Kemba Walker can be a streaky shooter. Kemba Walker is small. He's agile, but he's not very big. He's a score-first point guard. He's not the most willing passer of the basketball, sometimes falls victim to hero ball. And all of those things got covered up by the winning, because he went to UConn and played with Kevin Ollie and the Huskies. But Ben Simmons went to LSU? I mean, why would you do that to yourself? That doesn't make any sense to me. It's just so mind-boggling that you would put your career on a path like that merely for the opportunity to, I don't even know, do what? Merely to play with your godfather? Is it that important? I'm not saying he seriously hurt his draft stock, but he went from being undisputed number 1 to being in that mix of teams. Like, well, if we need Ben Simmons, we might take him. Like, if we need a big guy, we might not draft Ben Simmons. And it's perfectly understandable, because he's been branded with the label loser, whether anybody wants to admit it or not. Why did you go to that school? It doesn't make any sense. Thank you for listening to Clutch with Keon Rose today. Thank you for giving me just a little piece of your time. Make sure to check us out on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, and hotnewstalkradio.com. And make sure to get all of your weather news from the Bloom Sky app. We've got a very cool thing working with them. You've been listening to Clutch with Keon Rose. Remember, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. And I'll see you in 24 hours.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Hi, I'm Sabrina with Sabrina Realty Associates. Now is a great time to sell your home. In our area, inventory is at an all-time low, which translates into higher sales prices. Call us today at 423-499-7780 to set up a free consultation and discuss our unique and aggressive marketing programs. We will provide you with a free market analysis to determine the right value of your home. Call us today at 423-499-7780 or visit our website at sabrinarealty.com.
Our house in the middle of our street. Our house.
Do you feel better outside your home or business than in? Indoor air quality is important. Mildew, mold, smoke, water, and rodent damage are prime causes of poor indoor air quality. Ducts, Indoor Air Professionals, better known as Duct Busters, cleans HVAC systems using 127 definable Duct Busters steps. Let Mark Thompson address the indoor air quality at your business to help reduce employee illnesses. Prevent fires by cleaning your dryer vents. Mark and his parents, Dick and Joan Thompson, have been building our local economy and helping local people with HVAC systems 16 years. Ducts, Indoor Air Professionals. Call 876-9907. 876-9907. Ducks. Call now.
Severe Weather Awareness Week, the 28th through the 5th. P5 Preparedness has weather radios only $19.95. At P5 Preparedness, weather radios are only $19.95 for a limited time only and a limited quantity. You need to get there now. Weather radios, $19.95.
P5 Preparedness on East Brainerd between Gun Barrel and I-75. Look for the Green Army truck, 423-602-2175. Look for us on Facebook.
On your signature, you can get $150,000. Can you believe that? $150,000 on your signature. Hi, I'm Bruce Krebs with the Entrepreneur Source. There's a program right now that you can get $150,000 on your signature with no pledge of collateral or personal guarantee. Call me at 423-875-50.